Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to unlock one of the most powerful new features in AI, Claude Skills. And my promise to you is simple. In just the next few minutes, you'll know exactly what you need to do to build your very first one. And here's the best part. We're going to get this done in about 10 minutes, and we're only using Markdown. Yep, that's right. If you can write a simple text file, you've got all you need to start automating your work with AI. Seriously, no complex coding required. And hey, if you want to follow along or just snag the examples for later, everything we're about to cover is right here in this public GitHub repo. So feel free to pause right now and clone it. All right, let's dive in. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on what skills actually are. Then we're jumping straight into the fun part, building a simple one together. After that, we'll look at a more complex, real-world DevOps example. And finally, we'll clear up how skills are different from another feature called MCP. Okay, so what in the world are Claude skills? Well, the absolute easiest way to think about them is like recipe cards for your AI. Instead of giving Claude the same long, detailed instructions over and over again, you just write the recipe once, and Claude can pull it up and use it whenever it needs to. Now, for the more official definition, skills are basically organized folders that teach Claude repeatable workflows. You can pack them with instructions, examples, even scripts. And with that, Claude becomes an expert at that one specific thing, whether that's writing Terraform code or, say, troubleshooting a Kubernetes cluster. What makes them so powerful are these core ideas. They're modular, so each skill lives in its own little folder. Claude finds them automatically based on what you ask. But the real game changer is this thing called progressive disclosure, which makes them incredibly efficient with your tokens. We'll get to that in a sec. And, of course, they are super no-code friendly. Okay, this is the magic I was talking about, progressive disclosure. See, when Claude starts up, it doesn't load every single instruction from all your skills. First, it just takes a quick peek at the name and description, just the metadata. Then, based on your prompt, it picks the right skill. And only then does it load the full instructions for that one skill. It's just incredibly smart. And this number really drives the point home. Claude can scan the metadata for all of your skills for only about 100 tokens. Just think about that. Compare it to a huge system prompt that eats up thousands of tokens, which is like the currency for AI, every single time you start a chat. This design is what makes skills so scalable and, frankly, affordable to use. All right, that's enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty and actually build something. We're going to create a super simple but really useful skill called Greeting Generator, and this is where you'll see just how easy this whole thing is. The very first step is just creating the folder structure. Claude has a special place it looks for skills, a hidden folder called .claude/skills. Inside that, we just create a new folder for our skill, in this case, Greeting Generator. You just pop this command into your terminal and you're good to go. Step 2, we create the brain of our skill. It's a single file called skl.md, and this is it. This is the entire file. It starts with a little bit of metadata at the top, we'll break that down in a second, and then it's just standard Markdown telling Claude exactly how to do its job. Now that little section at the top, the front matter, is absolutely critical. The name is just an identifier, but the description, that's how Claude decides whether or not to use your skill. You have to be really clear, not just about what it does, but when to use it. That one sentence is the trigger for the whole shebang. And finally, we test it. You don't need any special commands or anything. You just talk to Claude like you normally would. A prompt like this one is a perfect match for the description we wrote. Claude will see that, load our instructions from the sklmd file, and boom, it'll give us a perfectly crafted greeting. It's really that simple. Okay, generating greetings is a great start, right? But what about more complex, real-world stuff? Now we're going to see how this simple idea can be scaled up for something much more powerful, a DevOps skill for troubleshooting Kubernetes. So here's the SKMD for a Kubernetes troubleshooter, and look at that description again. See how specific it is about when to use it? Use when pods are failing, services are unreachable. This is the perfect trigger for a DevOps engineer who is having a very bad day and just needs help right now. And inside the skill, it's not just a big blob of text. It's a structured, logical workflow. It guides Claude and you through the diagnostic process. It tells it to first figure out the problem, then check for common pod issues like crash loop backoff, look at the services, and even check a reference table for quick fixes. And this is what makes it so dang practical. The skill is packed with the exact kubectl commands needed for each step. So when an engineer says, hey, my pod is crashing, Claude doesn't have to guess. It follows the skill, suggests running these specific commands, and then helps analyze the output.
It basically turns Claude into a junior DevOps assistant who already knows your team's playbook.
Now, there's a common point of confusion I want to clear up, and that's how skills relate to another feature called MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. They might sound kind of similar, but they do very different and very complementary things. So let's break it down.
Here is the absolute simplest way to remember the difference. Skills teach Claude how to perform a task. They've got the procedure, the workflow, the steps. MCP, on the other hand, connects Claude to external systems, like an API or a database. One is about process, the other is about connectivity. And this table just breaks it down a little further. You see, you create skills with just Markdown, and they are super cheap on tokens. You create MCP servers with actual code, like TypeScript or Python, because they're making real API calls. They're not competing with each other. They're designed to work together. A single skill could use multiple MCP connections to get a really complex job done.
So, you ready to get started? The fastest way is to just grab all the examples we talked about today, including that K8's troubleshooter. Just run this git clone command, and you'll have a whole folder of skills ready to play with and adapt for your own work.
If there is just one thing you take away from this whole explainer, please let it be this. The barrier to entry for creating really powerful AI automations has never, ever been lower. You do not need to be a programmer. If you can write Markdown, you can create Claude skills.
And that brings me to my final question for you. Think about your own daily work. What is that one repetitive, kind of annoying task you do over and over again? That is the perfect candidate for your very first skill. So what are you going to build? I really hope this sparks some ideas for you. For more tutorials on how to mash up DevOps and AI, make sure you subscribe to Gheware DevOps AI. Thanks so much for joining me.